Flight Boss, bitch. You know, for sure. You're not listening to the Mind of an Antares Moon. Flight Boss Star Changer Uriel. And I'm here to carry out God duties and motherfucker responsibilities. And right now I want to talk about the moon, Trine, Mercury, in a person's natal chart. AKA the mind manipulator, the mind controller, the joker. And you actually have the gift to actually do these things. But you actually have the gift to manifest it in your life too. So that means you could be on each end of the stick, whether you're giving it or taking it. But why do I call it the mind manipulator or the mind controller or the joker? We're going to break that down now. So this is the moon, Trine, Mercury in a person's natal chart. So for the most part, what is the moon actually doing relating to you? So listen, the moon is how you react and respond to the world that you are in. So let's put a little bit of science on it. Look at it like this. You're in a realm of reality right now, right? A world of the first thing that you started doing was receiving, right? So if the first thing you're doing and what you're constantly doing is receiving, that means you're in a realm of reality or a body or a world that's controlled by receiving. Now receiving in a higher realm is correlated to the feminine energy. We know external and masculine energy is giving off and pushing out. And yang and receiving is tied to feminine energy. So if you want to know what kind of world or what kind of body we are in, what kind of being we are in as blood cells, from a higher perspective, that gives you a perspective to let you know that we are in a woman-like being or a feminine-like being, and however it takes shape and form in that realm of reality and how it's seen. But we are the lesser life in this area. So since we're in a realm of receiving, that's one of the ways you can understand from a spiritual nature. Now, since the moon is correlated to your reactions and how you respond to things, then you know the moon is the first form, the first physical shape and form that you could point to that's closest to who you are, that's closest to your soul. Because this realm is controlled by the receiving energy and the feminine energy. And since the moon planetary energy gives off signatures of how you react and how you respond, that's related to receiving. So those lights are going to be closest to who you are. So anytime you access your moon or utilize your moon, you're accessing more closely to who you are than your other attributes, aka your other lights, your other stars, your other planets, right? So the alignments to your moon and the world that your moon is in, aka the sign that it's in, is going to tell you the condition of your soul here, the condition of who you are here. So that's going to dictate your moods, your comfortability levels, the way you connect, the way you react and respond to the world that you are in. So what is Mercury? Mercury is one of the next form of physical bodies after that we have built and created for ourselves as a mind aspect. And this is one of our tethering cords in this realm of reality in order for us to think effectively about the lights that we're receiving. So we can kind of come up with concepts and come up with an understanding or an intellect to what we're seeing. So we come up with logic to what we're actually receiving. So Mercury, and that's one of the mind is one of the first, it's after the moon, but this is another body we created in order for us to perceive the realm of reality that we are in with logic. This is why it's correlated with more yang energy and more masculine energy. You see what I'm saying? And it go back, forth, and this is how you know how the planets and the chakras go. You know what I'm saying? Go to negative, positive, but that's another thing. That's not the all. Now, for the most part, Mercury deals with your intellect, the way you think, communicate, and analyze. You see what I'm saying? So the conditions of the world that it's in, aka the angles that Mercury is getting and the sign that it's in, aka the world it's in, is going to let you know what kind of weather and how the energy signatures that the way you think is presented in the world and how you think. So when you bring these two together now, the trine is an astrological angle. So if you was born with the moon and the Mercury trining each other, right? Then that means they was creating part of a triangle. You know what I'm saying? They was creating part of a triangle. So for the most part, that's a harmonious angle. That's not a square where we are boxing each other off if ideas doesn't match. So we may be on the same path, but different ideas on how to get there. That's the square. You know what I'm saying? It's not an opposition. We're not running into each other like a head-on collision, and we have to make sure if it's a harmonious one or a catastrophic one, it could go off on both ends, right? We're not on a complete same path like conjunction, so we're not both, so we don't have to share the possibilities of either arguing and have to separate or us joining together to reach the goal, but we're automatically on the same path, period. It's not a conjunction. You see what I'm saying? This is how the planets is looking at each other. You know, it's not, so square, opposition, yeah, it's not a conjunction, and it's not a sextile. It's not you on your way and I'm on my way, and it could kind of work if we bring it together, or it could kind of not, and we can learn how to just separate and let bygones be bygones and turn the other cheek. It's actually a trine. You know what I'm saying? So it's us having the same idea, just in separate ways. So we're creating a triangle. So we got the same idea, we just go about it in different ways. So that'd be the trine. So when you think about it, when it comes to how the moon and Mercury looking at each other, when it plays out in your chart, this is how they look at it. They look at it like, okay, we feel the same, we see things in the same way, we just go about it in different ways. You know what I'm saying? So depending on where your moon will be at, it'll be an immutable, fixed, or cardinal way of that same energy, and your Mercury the same case. If the moon, pardon me, if the moon was an immutable of that energy, then for it to be a trine, Mercury would have to be in cardinal or fixed of that same energy. You see what I'm saying? If the moon was an immutable. So for the most part, that's what creates a trine. So right here, what happens when you have a trine? Now a trine is a gift. It brings gifts in your life. Because when a person has a natural trine within them, that means that they have two planets that's on the same page, but it's two different ways of doing it. You see what I'm saying? So this makes you more broad, more wide. So for an example, your moon, how you react and respond to the world that you are in, understands your Mercury, the way you think and communicate and analyze. They're on the same page, but they may just express it in two different ways. So you give off a more broad energy to others. So it will play out in your life as others thinking you have certain gifts. Or, you see what I'm saying? Because it really ain't a gift, but we call it gifts. But what's really happening is you just have a wider range of one specific energy. So when you come across a person in their natal chart who just have one planet that's in a sign and is not trining any other planet, you know what I'm saying? They just see that element in one aspect, aka every person, place, or thing that they get into that got some type of that energy, they're just pinpointing one perspective that they can resonate with. But if you got trining planets, that means you resonate with that specific energy on a broader level. You can understand it from this point and this point. You see what I'm saying? So when you come across another person, right, whatever y'all are into, you have more awareness in that realm. So you would give off the impression to another person that you probably more gifted, or you're more comfortable in that area of life, or things of that nature. So that's why we call it trine a gift. But really what's actually happening is that's how a gift get developed. When a person is naturally more broad or naturally more aware in a certain circumstance or a situation. For an example, if you know more about basketball, or if you're a girl, if you know more about hair and know more about weave than your friend, then when a person needs some advice, your other friend needs some advice, who they gonna ask first? You. So when that person is describing you to somebody else, they may use words like, yeah, this person is gifted in hair, or yeah, this person is gifted in basketball, this, that, and the third. But that's just a word that we put up there to describe a person's spirit being more aware or having more of a broad perspective in certain scenarios and circumstances. And the reason why they're able to have that access is because they probably have trines in their chart. Gifts. So gifts can play out as procrastinations also, because a gift sometimes will play out as something you already got access to, so you already know how to do it, so you'll start taking advantage of that energy. Just like these are your actual relationships. So once you start taking advantage, another person, place, or thing has to come into your life and set a fire under your ass for you to get back on track and utilize your gifts, because you'll let your gifts pass by you. You know what I'm saying? Like that. because you won't actually put the 100% effort in it, because you've been going through so many experiences where it almost seemed like people hand you whatever you want for your gift. So you just start to sleep on that. You know, you get what I'm saying? And it'll play into procrastinations. But certain people have other planetary alignments that help put the fire under their own ass. But every individual is got an individual case. Every individual case is separate. So now let's get to the title of why I call it the mind manipulator, the mind controller, or the joker. And because you could be doing these things to yourself, or letting outside influences do this to you, or you can jump in your own bag and start to utilize these energies and become the mind manipulator or the mind controller. Because here's what's happening, right? Now, these are just tools, like I said, Mercury through Pluto, but to a small degree, the sun, moon, and the ascendant, those are bodies and forms too. This lesser forms, more light bodies that your spirit can take. So when we talk about Mercury, Mercury is the first one that becomes, it's like it deals with the mind. So the mind is connected to the brain, so you can correlate your imagination and shit with that and correlate what's going on here. So when we talk about the mind is what you thinking and how you analyze and how you communicate. So since you got the moon trine Mercury, a lot of times you may have the gift, and remember it could be a bad or a good, good or neutral. Just because it's a trine or a sextile, that doesn't necessarily mean it's 100% a good alignment. Now, like I said, you have a lot of times you have the gift we're letting your mind control who you are, because your moon is who you are, how you react and respond to things. But if it trine Mercury, that means you have the gift of being able to think, communicate, and analyze about what's going on with you. So your vibrations is always on your mind. But think about it like this: your mind is how you think and analyze and communicate in general. So if you're constantly thinking and analyzing and communicating, a lot of times you get into situations where you let that dictate who you are, your emotions and feelings, to the point that if you have a bunch of weak alignments in your chart, you could become a person that get overwhelmed by the stuff that's on your mind. You could even be around other people, and the way they think and communicate and analyze control you, control who you are, control how you react and respond to things. You see what I'm saying? And a lot of times the stuff that's on your mind and the stuff that you into, that you put on your mind and pay attention to, whether there's shows or movies or other people or whatever like that, how you think and communicate and analyze, you let that dictate your reactions. You have the gift of letting that dictate your reactions and how you respond to things, and who you are. So it's even fucked up if you got a bunch of Libra planets, or you got just a bunch of passive planets or a bunch of relatable planets, because you will find yourself reacting and responding the way you think other people want you to react and respond. And once you let another person mind feel like they got authority over how you react and who you are, things could become very sticky. Now, you can learn a lot in that realm, but that realm is not always comfortable, because you're always going to be placed in uncomfortable situations. And you learning a lot, you're going to start justifying why you're going through these situations. And you're going to start justifying because, okay, I'm gaining wisdom, so I must be here to help people. So I'm here to hang myself on the cross for these people and get spit on just for the sake of that. And no one's never here to actually do that. You use certain energies when it's time to use it, and then you move on and use other energies when it's time to use it. Never get lost into thinking that this is your true energy to claim forever. You see what I'm saying? That's just another shape and form that you're going to have to learn to let go in another life if you don't do it now. You see what I'm saying? So everything is tools to be used. So if you are a person who may be weak at times, if you have the moon trine in Mercury, a lot of times you could let your own thoughts that you just come up with control. Like I said, the mind is a tool we use, so we can use this to create and imagine. But if you're a person who got a bunch of other planetary alignments that affect your Mercury into making you think and imagine and create a bunch of negative shit in your head and fears and shit, these fears and negative shit in your head is going to control your reactions and the things you respond to. Say if you got moon trine Mercury and you always thinking about doubt, but you want to get into it, you want to manifest a relationship in your life, but you thinking doubt is going to dictate how you react. So you may not react and respond to how you truly feel. to reach out to the person that you want to be in a relationship with, because what's on your mind. And then you start thinking your mind is you. Which your mind is just a tool for you can use. That's what you need to understand. You see what I'm saying? So the gifts could be good or bad. Trines could be good or bad. It just depends on every individual case. And once you know your individual case and your alignments, that'll let you know how you can kind of make yours better. How to make a wrong or right. Now, also, when we get into energies of let's get into some positives. I always like to talk about the end game, the dark depth of shit, and the negative parts of shit. You know what I'm saying? So that's probably why but listen, let's get positive a little bit, because you know, but that's probably why, you know, my channel is growing, and I love y'all. Like, I think I'm on 31,000 subscribers. Like, that shit crazy the way it's moving like that. It's weird almost, but you know, I appreciate that. But y'all know I don't give a fuck about that. I give a fuck about the message. The numbers is just the representations and the shapes and forms that we can use, that we can get the message out in a more broad perspective, and we can start actually willing in what we really want to do in this dimension in a more impactful way, so we can really be connected, and it could be way beyond this motherfucking computer and live shit, and it could be really live, and we can start doing changes in reality together. You know what I'm saying? So that's what that really about. But for the most part, we just want to talk about. So that's why I appreciate that, and I love y'all as far as a soul group. And individuals and people and stars from within and without. So it goes into deep depth of when I speak about love. I don't know what other people be jumping into. People be having lost Venuses, so they love and appreciation and value and relativeness may come out in other different ways. And then especially if their Venus is fucked up with Mars, so their alternative motives of what they loving or who they loving be all in fucked up places, and then they don't even understand love. They just got habits. See, I'm talking about love intuitively and externally. You see what I'm saying? To the point that I don't do even videos for a reason. There's not even really a real reason I'm doing videos. It's out of just pure love. You see what I'm saying? And everything is free in this world for us to give and receive to each other. You know what I'm saying? So I just feel like this is my spirit energy signature to do. So who am I to reject these feelings? And who am I to put some type of meaning and reasoning behind this? Oh, I need to do this for this, or I need to do this for that, or because of this, that. Who am I? Who, like, for real, who the fuck am I to put those type of jails on the spirit that I'm just supposed to freely do anyway? The same way I was just as freely came here, the same way I'm as freely going. So the same way I'm supposed to just as freely be free with this shit. You see what I'm saying? We with the motherfucking shits here. So, you know, as motherfucking Mercury, you know, you could get now on the positive side, you know, when a person got the moon trine Mercury, they're able to react and respond to other people's ways of thinking, communicating, and analyzing effectively. And then you even find yourself reacting and responding to why the things on your mind, why they're on their mind, why is they on your mind. So that always make you dive into more depth to what's actually going on in the behind the scenes realm, because that's internal anyway. You can't ask somebody else what's going on in your mind, and if you is doing that, that's kind of messed up right there. I mean, you can ask somebody your energy, but can't nobody know what's going on in your mind. So for the most part, you know that's internal. So that the moon trine Mercury, people who got moon trine Mercury automatically taps into the internal with their left brain Mercury, because you're forced to think about what's going on in the internal realm, the shit that's not going on outside of you. So you're forced to have your feelings on your mind all the time. You're forced to always have to be curious and analyze, or you're dealing with the right emotions or not. Is this the right emotions to express or not? So a lot of times you go through a lot of emotional chaotic natures just for the sake of wanting to be liked, because you don't never want to react and respond in a distasteful way. You always want to communicate with harmony and balance, and the way you think and communicate and analyze is in a way of trying to resonate with other people, try to feel people. You know what I'm saying? You got an energy of trying to think and feel where people are coming from, because the moon dealing with connection. So feeling and where they coming from, connection. So with the Mercury, you're always thinking and analyzing in that way. When you got Mercury trying the moon, you're always trying to. So make sure you're not around a lot of people who don't know themselves, or a person who's manipulative, because you'll find yourself giving too much of yourself to these people, and these people will start coming up with ideas of how to utilize you and take advantage of you, or use you as a crutch, whether it's material wise or emotional wise. You know what I'm saying? Whether you the person they always dump their emotions on the phone, or whether you the person they always in your face with some physical shit, or some shit y'all need to do in reality. But for the most part, that's how it can play out too. You know what I'm saying? Because you automatically have that discerning, that concerning energy about you when you got the moon trine Mercury. You automatically understanding a person's words, or you always want to come across like you do, even if you don't. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like you always want things to be in an agreeable nature, even if it's in a disagreeable nature. You want that disagreeable energy to be played out in an agreeable way still. And sometimes that's truly impossible in this realm. Sometimes negative got to be negative. And mixing anything with it is just adding to it. It's not clearing it up. You need chlorine to clear shit up. You can't add sugar and then add salt and thinking the salt going fucking blur out the sugar. No, you're gonna taste the salt and the sugar. So you need some type of chlorine or something to clear all that shit out. Whatever you need to put in that shit to clear all that shit out in general. You see what I'm saying? And that's what I mean by that. But yeah, it goes deep. So, reason why I say you could become the mind manipulator, or the mind controller, or the joker, is because once you start to understand it's the energy you have, you can start to utilize your feelings and emotions and how you react to things, and your inner self and who you are and your vibrations. You can start to utilize that to control the way other people think and the way other people analyze and communicate. And vice versa. The way you think, communicate, and analyze, you will be able to step into the power of the way you think, communicate, and analyze can affect mass reactions and response from others. And you can dictate what kind of reactions and response from because you will be able to think effectively who people are. So you will be able to know what to say and utilize your words and communication tactics to be able to spark the reaction that you want from others. But that's when you start to understand and dive into these energies and start to go into these worlds and start to understand and start to relate to the beings in this world and know what to do and what not to do. So when you bring it in this world, you perfected it. You know what I'm saying? But you got to go through those experiences. Got to go through rejections. You can't run from nothing. But the more you develop yourself in that world, when you bring that world down here and play it out down here as you being a person with Mercury trine moon, you will have access to all those attributes because you will be broad. See what I'm saying? Flight boss, bitch, goddamn air. Mercury trine moon is a motherfucker. And y'all I'm gonna look at the comments. So y'all throw alignments, what alignments y'all want me to do next. Because like I said, there's a motherfucking undertone and a spiritual backing to every motherfucking thing here on this motherfucking earth. Flight boss, bitch, air.